is baseball failing? Like, it's still a major sport, and, obviously the stadiums for the playoffs are packed, but it has to be the least amount of interest I have ever seen in the sport. Not for the lack of the athletes trying. I mean, you have Shohei Ohtani doing unbelievable things, unheard of things we haven't seen of since Babe Ruth. Hall of Fame pitcher and hitter trajectory, I'll say. If he lives up to his potential, it's there. Obviously, there's in a career, a lot of things can happen. So knock on wood. I mean, I hope Shohei goes all the way with this. Bruce Bochy winning his 4th World Series. If these two things happened in the early 2000s, these would be massive sports stories. Massive. And now it just doesn't feel that way. It feels like baseball is slipping through the cracks. And it's so interesting. There's natural bad guys too. You have Bryce Harper, natural bad guy, plays for the Phillies, looks cocky. He's always been kind of like, if you love him or hate him type. You have the Yankees, obviously, perennial bad guys. Astros, bad guys, cheaters. Dodgers, I would say, maybe because I'm from the Bay Area, I say they're bad guys just because they're just this a Death Star type, sort of Yankees West type, where they just can buy everyone and everything, and it's hilarious that they cannot win. I love it. Mickey Mouse, baby, Mickey Mouse. Well, the reason I said Mickey Mouse is because the only reason they won is the only time they've won the World Series in this era is when the pandemic hit and the season was only 60 games. They can't do it with 163 games. And there is a lot to be said about chemistry, because people are like, oh, team chemistry doesn't matter. Yeah, it very much does matter. And the Dodgers don't have. The Dodgers are just a collection of very expensive toys in the cabinet of an uncaring rich person. I've listed down 4 reasons as to why I think baseball is doing poorly. 1, this is something I've thought of for a while. The death of radio. Baseball is a fantastic radio sport. It really is. I remember being on long drives, and even when I was a kid sitting at home and I couldn't watch the Giants on TV, I would listen to them on my little radio in my room. But less and less people listen to the radios in their cars. The era is done with the advent of Bluetooth and even the aux cord. The aux cord was really a sign of the slow decline of baseball, because once you could listen to whatever music you wanted on the tip of your fingers, it was over for terrestrial radio. It really was. And podcasts as well. So I think the death of the radio actually is a significant player as to why baseball is a little less popular. And that also goes into my second point, is lack of accessibility. If I were to be like, I live in Texas, but I want to watch the San Francisco Giants. That's my team. It doesn't feel like there's an easy way to do that. With the NFL, there's Sunday Ticket. With the NBA, there's NBA League Pass. Like, there are ways that I can watch my favorite team. The MLB makes it so hard. I remember I bought a package, I think back in 2011, when I lived in San Diego and wanted to watch the Giants play, and it was just so buggy. It was so bad. You were subject to blackout rules, I believe. It just feels like there's a lack of bringing it to the 21st century, really. I would buy a package where I got to see the Giants games. It would have to be for pretty cheap now that baseball has done a fantastic job of losing my interest. But I would do it. I just want to be able to tune in and watch the games, but it just doesn't seem like it's easy. It should be like the NFL. I'm sure maybe if I go through the MLB.com, I can do it, but I don't want to do that. Put it on YouTube. I don't want to deal with your shitty user interface that you probably have, MLB. Let me buy a package through YouTube, obviously. The NFL knows what it's doing. Look at them. Hell, if you made the radio calls like a live podcast that you could buy, people would do that. Make it affordable. Lack of affordability is probably also killing baseball in terms of the stadium experience. I don't know. It's been a while. I haven't gone to a game in a stadium since, pre-pandemic. I used to go a lot. I haven't gone to a baseball game since pre-pandemic. But I guarantee the stadium ain't cheap. There's no way. There's just no way. The inability to just go to a game with your family for cheap is probably also killing it. That goes under the lack of accessibility. Make it so I can get it. They're acting like this is this huge prize that I have to work to get, and it's not. It's baseball. I would say you're number 4 right now. In my mind, it goes football, basketball, UFC, baseball. Number 3 is just lack of marketing. None of these players, they don't make any of these players stars. Why is Shohei Ohtani not in a bunch of commercials? Why is Mike Trout not in a bunch of commercials? Why is Bryce Harper not in a bunch of commercials? Shouldn't you be trying hard to make that happen? Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, these were all household names, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was skewed because I was a sports fan as a kid and I just assumed everyone knew them. But I would say most people knew at least who Derek Jeter was in America. I would say now, if you were to take a poll, I would say more people know who Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are than Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, or Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, for sure. In America, absolutely. That was never the case in the early 2000s. No way did more people in America know who Ronaldinho was over Roger Clemens. They do a bad job of marketing stars. And someone said some of baseball's problem is like someone like Shohei. I don't know how good his English is. I haven't really seen his interviews or anything like that because I'm not that invested in baseball like I used to be. But a lot of stars maybe have trouble speaking English. Who cares? Use their face. I should know. After this World Series, I should know Adolis Garcia by face. I think that's how you say his name. I don't even know how you say his name. I should know him by face. He had one of the most successful postseasons ever, and he didn't even play the last 2 games, and nobody knows. Market your stars. The MLB is run by this like stuffy boys club that's so out of touch with everyday people. It feels like Major League Baseball is run by Congress. It's like, oh, you don't know what the people want at all. It actually leads me to my last point. It's the shunning of steroid-era athletes. The MLB is doing a disservice to fans by shunning the steroid-era athletes. They really are. When Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds were jacking home runs nonstop, the MLB was king. That home run race back in '98 was one of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me as a fan of sports, and I don't even like those 2 teams. They brought so much attention to your sport, and you're just gonna shun them? Everyone was doing steroids back then. If the pitcher's doing steroids and the batter's doing steroids, who gives a shit? They should be. The fact that Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds are all not in the Hall of Fame is a shame, and it turns me off to watching the sport, especially because the Astros get no punishment for cheating to win a World Series. If the steroid players are playing other steroid players, that's an even field. The Astros straight up cheated, and they're fine. Put them in the Hall of Fame. But I'll say this. It seems to me that baseball is way more committed to slipping into irrelevancy than to changing with the times. It really does. Because the fact that the Rangers won their first ever World Series should be a way bigger deal than it feels like it is.